Everybody, welcome to another edition of A Chapter a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. My name is Alan, otherwise known as Hisui, and I'm from ReverseThieves.com as well as the Speakeasy Podcast. And this time we're looking at UQ Holder Chapter 15, The Fruits of Training. And, in the last chapter, they beat the first kind of for reals enemy as members of UQ Holder, or at least, Kuromaro and Toda being real members of UQ Holder. I mean, Karen's been a member for a while. And although she's the one who really took out the enemy, Toda and Kuromaro were definitely there to give commentary on the battle. And so, right into training. Yeesh. Ken Nakamatsu, you know your art all too well. And it starts off, and I kind of feel bad for Kuromaro. He's like this genetically engineered super soldier meant to hunt immortals, and he just doesn't, or she, or Kuromaro. I'm just gonna call it Kuromaro. I hate using it, but I don't know exactly Kuromaro's gender. I mean, pretty obvious that Kuromaro has a vagina, but what its gender is so I'm just gonna call him Kuromaro. It's just the best way to go right now. I mean, most probably Kuromaro is a girl, and female, and just pretending to be male for some reason. So that, later on, Kuromaro can be a love interest for Toda. But for right now, as we call it, just to prevent any kind of further trouble, or maybe Ken Akamatsu's actually kind of progressive, but for right now, I'm just going to call Kuromaro. And, kind of like that one character from Baka and Test. The gender of the character is Kuromaro. And so, but I just kind of feel bad for Kuromaro. Because Kuromaro just doesn't seem as cool as you would want her to be. I've always felt like Kuromaro loses to Toda. And then Kuromaro is basically, fight guy commentator. Like, wow, look at Karen. She's so awesome because she uses this technique. Oh, that. Oh, did you know this little piece of lore? And it's like, wow, you hardly participated in the fight, Kuromaro. And now it's like, wow, look how much better Toda is at you at everything except for arm wrestling. And then the only reason you're better at him than arm wrestling is because you know a chi tech trick. And it's like, oh, poor Kuromaro. I want you to be cooler. Hopefully you'll get a chance to shine. So, yeah. While they're still protecting this orphanage, they do these games to decide who does chores among, the high-ranking, the named important members of UQ Holder. And Kuromaro and Karen keep beating him with arm wrestling. And it's very obvious that they know a trick that he doesn't. And that's how they keep winning against him. Because, Kuromaro can't just be stronger. Because, Kuromaro. I think I'm just going to like Kuromaro. I'm going to be like, nah, man. You want Kuromaro to be weak? I'm going to be Kuromaro fan number one. Take that, Ken Nakamatsu. Or maybe that's the whole idea. It's like, they root for the underdog, so I'm going to make Kuromaro the underdog of the underdog. But yeah. So, Toda goes out, and the only advice that for training that Karen gives him is that he should practice Shundo. You know, the classic, you move so fast that it seems like you teleport and you can just like jump around. And so he's practicing and he's doing okay. You know, for someone who just watched somebody else, he's doing remarkably well. And this guy with the bandana comes over and he's like, wow, that is some garbage Shundo. He's like, look at all the dust you're kicking up. If you were really doing it for reals, then, you know, it would just, you know, you'd just teleport without kicking up all this dust. Watch me, watch my lack of dust. Oh, and, you know, he's like, man, that is pretty awesome. You know, I've been training for this for like a day, and you're like light years ahead of me. He's like, what, a day? Crazy! It took me like years to get this good. So like doing it at all, let alone get this good. Son, you were awesome. Let me show you some real techniques. And so he gives him the idea of how to really do Shundo, and even shows him some, and he even clues him in that, you know, since it's counterbalancing, you know, basically sending chi into the ground and kind of going against the normal force and kind of using that to push off and go super fast, you can use that same technique in arm wrestling and win. And Toto's like, awesome! And he's like, oh, you think that's awesome? Watch me fly through the air, jumping off air molecules like a boss. And so Toto's like crazy impressed and gives him some praise, and the guy obviously eats it up. And he's like, I'm going to teach you 2 techniques. And if you can do them, or at least one of them, then you are the awesome, and I might train you as my student. And so, obviously, you know, it's UQ holder, once again. Like last week when I was like, everything was like, okay, UQ holder. Yeah, it's kind of what I expected out of you. I mean, once again, I'm enjoying it a lot. It's a fun series. Ken Nakamatsu has a certain energy and charm. And I noticed, like, no nudity, like, no panty. I mean, there was a little bit of Karen leg, but no real service that you usually expect out of Ken Nakamatsu. But, you know, he's kind of known for his service and kind of just this, you know, fun charm. And UQ Colder has that fun charm, but is not like, so far, like, other than the Busty Girl being Evangeline, you know, wasn't really super surprising a lot of times. And this isn't a different, you know, Toad is going to learn one of the techniques, possibly both of them. And the guy's going to offer to train him, and he's going to be like, no, but we can be buds. Because I want to be your bud, and then they'll become buds. I mean, unless the guy's like an upcoming villain, in which case, you know, kind of like in Kenshin, where, you know, the fighter for hire guy meets that monk, and then later on he finds, oh no, you're one of Shishio's men. Sasanosuke, that's it. Sasanosuke finds out one of the guys is a monk. You know, is one of Shishio's guy. And it's like, oh, unless that's what's going on, and this guy works for the bad guy organization. You know, he's going to offer to train him. So he's going to turn it down. They're going to become buds. Actually, I kind of like it if he turned out to be a bad guy. But they were kind of cool with each other now. I think that would be kind of the more... Wouldn't be totally not formula, but I think it would be the much more interesting formula. But I'm expecting scenario 1. But once again, fun chapter. Look forward to next week. Alright, see you guys then.